Utah. A masterpiece of erosion, a land of impossible formations and endless canyons. This is the story of an ancient land, shaped by time and the forces of nature. Where ancient seas left layers of red sandstone, and natural arches defy gravity. Far from tourist destinations, a wild Utah continues its tale. Between silent deserts and red mountains, nature reigns supreme. The rock formations of Moab, for instance, that turn red at sunset. Or Zion Canyon, where the Virgin River flows between towering vertical walls. Welcome to this journey through the most beautiful landscapes and hidden corners of Utah. A story that began long before us and will continue long after our passage. Arches National Park. More than 2,000 natural arches in one place. Welcome to the largest sculpture museum in the world, where the artist is time itself. Arches National Park is like an open-air art gallery where each rock formation tells a story of millions of years of patient erosion. Delicate Arch, for example, the one you see on Utah license plates, is the undisputed symbol, an impossible arch that seems to defy gravity. But there's much more. The landscape arch, thin as a thread and 96 meters long, that seems like it could break at any moment. Or the double arch, which are twin arches embracing each other. Or even the windows, which are giant windows open to the desert sky. And each arch has its own personality, its unique geological history. Moreover, the red sandstone they're made of glows like fire at sunset, creating dreamlike atmospheres. Walking among these natural monuments is like crossing a geological playground where gravity and erosion have collaborated for centuries. And the incredible thing? These arches continue to form and collapse in an eternal cycle. You might be among the last to see some of them, or among the first to discover new ones. Zion National Park. Zion isn't just a park, but a natural cathedral where sandstone walls rise like skyscrapers of painted stone. Here, the Virgin River has carved one of the world's most spectacular canyons for millions of years, creating a place where the sacred meets the wild. Angel's Landing, for example, is truly a test of courage. A trail that ends on a rocky ridge as wide as a sidewalk, with 400-meter drops on both sides. The safety chains are the only thing separating you from the void, but the view from the top repays every drop of sweat and every accelerated heartbeat. And then there are the Narrows, which means walking inside the Virgin River between walls that close above your head, with water reaching your knees, sometimes your waist, while above the sky reduces to a thin blue strip. It's a primordial experience where you feel like you're inside the Earth's belly. It's precisely for this reason that Zion touches the soul in a way that no other place can do. Canyonlands National Park. Imagine the Grand Canyon multiplied by 10, and you'll have an idea of Canyonlands. This is the territory where the Colorado and Green Rivers have sculpted a labyrinth of canyons, arches, pinnacles, and mesas lost beyond the horizon. It's a vertical world where every viewpoint reveals a different panorama, always more incredible than the previous one. The park is divided into 4 distinct districts, each with a unique character. Island in the Sky offers breathtaking views over an ocean of red rock. The Needles, instead, is a collection of colorful pinnacles and hidden arches. Then there is the Maze, which is America's most remote and wild labyrinth, where getting lost is extremely easy. And finally, there is the Green River District, which leads into the continent's most primitive river canyons. Here, time is measured in geological eras and space in infinite vastness. Canyonlands is where you discover the true immensity of Earth, a place where the wind tells ancient stories among the rocks, and where every sunrise and sunset completely repaints the landscape. Bryce Canyon National Park. Don't be fooled by the name. Bryce isn't a canyon, but a series of natural amphitheaters carved into the plateau. And what amphitheaters? Thousands of rock pinnacles called hoodoos rise from the bottom, like an army of stone warriors frozen in time. And each hoodoo is unique. Some look like castle towers, others mythical human figures, still others fantastic animals. And their colors change with the light, from soft pink at dawn, to intense red at noon, to burnished gold at sunset. And in winter, when snow whitens their tops, the landscape becomes truly surreal. But Bryce's secret is the altitude. At 2,400 meters, it's cool even in summer, and in winter it snows abundantly. It's an alpine oasis in the desert, where ponderosa pines perfume the air, and where geology becomes art. Dead Horse Point State Park. The most photographed view in Utah awaits you here. A perfect meander of the Colorado River, winding 600 meters below like an emerald green snake. Indeed, Dead Horse Point is a rocky promontory that juts into the void, offering a breathtaking perspective on canyonlands and the mountains on the horizon. The name, however, tells a tragic story when cowboys used this point as a natural corral for wild horses, leaving them to die of thirst while the river water flowed unreachably in the canyon below. Today, it's a natural memorial to that harsh history of the American West. Dead Horse Point is therefore a place of contemplation. At sunset, when the sun transforms everything into gold, you feel at the edge of the world, and the contrast between the tranquility of the viewpoint and the vertigo of the precipice creates a unique emotion. The Wave and Coyote Buttes. If the Wave is the holy grail of landscape photographers, then Coyote Buttes is the temple that guards it. Located between Arizona and Utah, this undulating sandstone formation, with lines that seem drawn by a giant, is the result of 190 million years of sedimentation and erosion. The wave, as we've said, is just a part of Coyote Buttes, but the one that has captured worldwide imagination with rock that looks like petrified water thanks to hypnotic red, yellow, and white streaks. These undulations follow ancient Jurassic dunes, when a vast desert extended here. Access to this rock formation is limited to 64 people per day through lottery, and this is to preserve a place so fragile that even a footprint can leave permanent marks. Coyote Buttes instead is divided into two sections, namely north and south, and hosts not only the wave but also other spectacular formations like the Brain Rocks and natural sculptures with changing colors. It's precisely in places like this that you understand why some natural treasures are so precious that they must be protected, even from our own admiration. Monument Valley. In the heart of the Navajo Desert, Monument Valley stands like a primordial stage of red sandstone giants. The reliefs and solitary pinnacles, sculpted by millions of years of patient erosion, stand against impossibly blue skies. This is not just a landscape, rather, it is the sacred heart of the Navajo Nation. And every stone tells a legend, every shadow whispers secrets. The pinnacles, sculpted by billions of raindrops and gusts of wind, create a skyline more evocative than any modern metropolis. Even Hollywood discovered and loved it, transforming it into the very emblem of the Wild West. John Ford found his muse here, immortalizing it in masterpieces that defined an entire cinematic genre. At dawn or sunset, when light ignites the vertical walls and shadows stretch like thoughts, Monument Valley reveals its true nature. It's not just a place to see, but an experience that redefines the very concept of wonder. Capitol Reef National Park. Capitol Reef is Utah's hidden jewel, often overshadowed by its more famous brothers. The name is curious. Indeed, Capitol is because some rocks resemble government buildings, and reef because this rock barrier blocked the road for early travelers, like a coral reef blocks ships. The park is dominated by the Water Pocket Fold, a gigantic fold in the Earth's crust stretching 100 miles. Among the park's most spectacular wonders are the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Moon in the remote Cathedral Valley, which are majestic red sandstone monoliths rising from the desert terrain. The Temple of the Sun, more imposing and massive, and its slightly smaller companion, the Temple of the Moon, create an almost mystical landscape, especially when illuminated by the golden light of dawn or sunset. Here you can also find petroglyphs, rock drawings made by the Fremont and ancient Native American people. There is also Fruta, the small historic village of the park, with houses and barns that seem to have come straight out of a Western movie. This is a place where human and geological history intertwine in a unique way, telling millennia of civilization in a breathtaking landscape. Salt Lake City. Utah's most populous city rises in an incredible position. In the middle of a large desert valley surrounded by the Wasatch Mountains. This valley is called the Great Basin because rivers here don't flow to the sea, but all stop in salt lakes. The city was founded in 1847 by Mormons, followers of a Christian religion born in America in the 1800s, who were persecuted in the eastern states and sought a place to freely practice their faith. They stopped here seeing the Great Salt Lake, which is a lake so salty you can float like a cork, more than the Dead Sea. The heart of the city is Temple Square, where Mormons have built their most important religious buildings. For example, there is the famous temple, which has an architecture that draws inspiration from Gothic cathedrals, but is decorated with symbols of the Mormon faith. But Salt Lake City isn't just religion. Indeed, beyond the religious buildings, the elegant Utah State Capitol building stands out on Capitol Hill. It's a modern city with many neighborhoods full of Victorian-style buildings, and it's also just half an hour from snow-covered mountains for skiing or mountain biking. And it has a vibrant cultural scene. Provo. Hidden in Utah Valley, Provo is where the Wasatch Mountains dive into Utah Lake. Home to Brigham Young University, the city pulses with youthful energy and innovation. It has a historic center rich in Victorian architecture and has become a technology hub while maintaining its authentic character. Indeed, from its streets, you breathe a particular atmosphere. Innovative startups coexisting with historic families, mountain bikes alongside artisanal coffee shops, and university students who animate a lively cultural scene. Behind the city is Provo Canyon, which opens like a door to mountain paradise, and where Bridal Veil Falls drop for 180 meters. It's not just any city. Rather, it's a place where the American dream reinvents itself every day, surrounded by some of the most beautiful mountains in the West. Moab. Moab isn't just a city, it's a way of life. World capital of outdoor adventure, this town of 5,000 inhabitants at the foot of Red Rocks is the starting point to explore 2 national parks and hundreds of trails, which are now legend among mountain bikers, hikers, and climbers from around the world. But this place has a hidden secret which few tourists discover, and that's Corona Arch. This natural arch, with a 34-meter span, is hidden in a secondary canyon, reachable only with a 3-hour walk among red rocks and slick rock. All the effort to reach it, however, is repaid thanks to the perfect frame it creates with the surrounding landscape, creating a natural window on canyons and distant mountains. And the best part is that often there are no tourists. While thousands of people queue at national parks, here you can contemplate a wonder in absolute solitude. Park City. Park City presents 2 souls, wild like the mountains and elegant like the ski slopes. Born as a miner's town in 1860, when silver seemed inexhaustible, today it represents one of America's most exclusive places. The main street preserves the charm of the West, with ancient buildings that now host starred restaurants and art galleries. But the city is famous above all for its exceptional ski slopes, which hosted numerous competitions during the 2002 Winter Olympics, and continue to attract skiers from all over the world for the quality of the powdery snow. In summer instead, the ski slopes become mountain bike trails, and the air at 2,100 meters conveys an incredible sense of vitality. Park City demonstrates that mining tradition and modernity can create something magical, a place where the history of the West meets contemporary elegance. Great Salt Lake. It presents itself as what seems like a mirage, a sea in the middle of the desert. But the Great Salt Lake is a remnant of the Ice Age, what remains of Lake Bonneville, which once covered a third of Utah. With 27% salt, it's saltier than the ocean and the Dead Sea, and allows floating like a cork even for those who can't swim. The lake continuously changes color, from crystal blue in winter to shocking pink in summer due to small organisms and algae that live in the salt. The smell, however, can be intense, a mix of brackish and sulfur that characterizes the experience. The shores, moreover, are covered with salt crystals that shine in the sun, while millions of migratory birds stop here, including pelicans, seagulls, and waders with long legs that walk in the shallow waters. It's a unique ecosystem in the world, a natural laboratory where life finds a way to thrive, even in extreme conditions. At sunset, finally, when the sky reflects in the still waters, it reveals its magical and prehistoric nature. Antelope Island. A wild island emerges from the Great Salt Lake, like a natural cathedral. Antelope Island represents the American West preserved intact, with bison grazing freely, antelopes running at 100 kilometers per hour, and coyotes howling at sunset. This island of 110 square kilometers constitutes a modern Noah's Ark, where species that risk disappearing have found refuge. Like, for example, the bison herd, descendants of those saved from the massacre of the 1800s, today count 700 head that roam freely between meadows and rocky hills. The trails, then, lead to the top of Frary Peak, from where the gaze embraces all of the Great Salt Lake and the surrounding mountains. Even the beaches are unique, with sand mixed with crystallized salt, where it's possible to take a relaxing bath. In winter, when the lake partially freezes, Antelope Island becomes almost reachable by land and becomes even more the place where you understand that protecting nature means giving space to animals to be free and wild. Lake Powell. A man-made lake that seems more alien than any other natural environment. Lake Powell's waters flow for 300 kilometers through red sandstone canyons, creating an aquatic labyrinth of 96 canyons, where boats replace off-road vehicles as a means of exploration. Born in 1963 when the controversial Glen Canyon Dam blocked the Colorado River, Lake Powell is as much a monument to human ingenuity as a wound in the landscape. Indeed, while boats pass next to vertical walls, hundreds of meters high, it's impossible not to reflect on what lies beneath. A submerged canyon ecosystem with thousands of Native American archaeological sites now underwater. The fluctuations in the lake level, moreover, periodically reveal the bathtub ring, which is a white strip of deposited minerals that marks the difference between the days of water abundance and the current reality of prolonged drought. Gunlock Falls. Water shouldn't exist here, yet it cascades with a determination that defies desert logic. Gunlock Falls emerge from nowhere in the arid landscape of southern Utah, creating an oasis that seems surreal. When the first Mormon pioneers arrived here in 1857, they found this natural anomaly that allowed life where everything suggested impossibility. Here, the Santa Clara River, fed by underground springs, plunges from red sandstone walls, creating pools that reflect the sky like mirrors. The contrast is very powerful, with red rocks burning under the desert sun and an oasis of fresh water where you can dive to escape the heat. The hike to reach this place is an adventure in itself. You cross dry riverbeds, climb sandstone boulders polished by time, and suddenly you hear the sound of falling water. It's like discovering a hidden treasure. But the real magic happens when the afternoon sun filters through the waterfall's mist, painting ephemeral rainbows in the air, with cottonwood trees protecting this sanctuary, sinking their roots into the red sand in search of precious moisture. Wasatch Mountains. Imagine waking up and seeing outside your window a rock wall that rises over 3,500 meters. The Wasatch Mountains are Utah's backbone, a mountain range that literally divides the state in two. Here, the contrast is everything. Indeed, on the western side stretch the arid desert valleys of the Great Basin, with their expanses of salt and sage bushes, while on the eastern side rise snow-capped peaks that seem to touch the sky, covered by lush forests of pines, firs, and poplars, creating a dramatic environmental boundary between Utah's two distinctive landscapes. But there's more. These mountains aren't just beautiful to look at, rather they are Utah's green lung. Their forests of pines and firs capture winter snow, which then, melting, feeds the rivers and cities below. It's a perfect ecosystem that has worked for millions of years. And if you're adventure lovers, here you'll find trails that will take you to wonderful places. Alpine lakes hidden among the peaks, waterfalls that plunge from vertical walls, flower-filled meadows that in spring explode with colors. The Wasatch Mountains are living proof that nature always knows how to surprise us, even when we think we've seen everything. Mount Timpanogos. Call it Timp, as locals do, and you'll immediately understand you're in the family. Mount Timpanogos is Utah's gentle giant, with its 3,582 meters dominating the valley below. Its shape is unmistakable. It looks like a sleeping woman, and it's precisely this legend of Native American tribes that has made this mountain special. But the real magic begins when you venture in, with the trail that leads through alpine meadows full of wildflowers, waterfalls, and with a bit of luck you can meet mountain goats, which now live peacefully here. Moreover, the summit offers a 360-degree view that makes you forget the fatigue of the climb. And there's more. There's a secret. Inside the mountain, there's a system of karst caves, an underground world, all to explore. Timpanogos is that type of mountain you never forget, the one that calls you to return every time you look toward the peaks. San Rafael Swell. Think of a natural arena, as big as a city, sculpted by wind and water over millions of years. The San Rafael Swell is exactly this, a dome of sandstone rock that rises from the earth like a geological island. The San Rafael River, moreover, which runs through this rock formation, has created over time deep canyons with smooth walls, offering a fascinating testimony to the erosive power of water on these ancient rocks. And these very canyons that cut through this bulge are like secret corridors, with each curve revealing walls painted with layers of different colors, from iron red to ochre yellow to chalk white. And then there are the petroglyphs, which are messages from the past that even today no one can completely decipher. The San Rafael Swell is the place where geology becomes art and history is touched by hand. Bentonite Hills. Welcome to Mars, but without leaving Earth. The Bentonite Hills seem to have come out of a science fiction film, with their rounded shapes and colors ranging from gray to purple, from red to yellow. But what makes these hills so alien? It's all thanks to bentonite, a special clay that forms when volcanic ash decomposes over time. Indeed, when it rains, this clay becomes slippery like soap and literally impossible to cross. But when it's dry, it forms these natural sculptures that change shape with every storm. It's a landscape in continuous evolution, where every visit is different from the previous one. And the beauty is that you can explore them freely, walking among these so-called badlands, which are actually wonderfully inhospitable. Snow Canyon State Park. The name actually deceives. Indeed, here you'll never see snow. Snow Canyon takes its name from the snow pioneers, and the canyon to which they gave their name is a paradise of red rock that burns under the desert sun. Imagine the classic sandstone walls characteristic of Utah that rise for hundreds of meters, but painted in all imaginable shades of red. Snow Canyon is exactly this. But the real surprise is the small Santa Clara volcano, whose eruption 27,000 years ago left expanses of black lava that contrast magnificently with the red sandstone. And then there are the red sand dunes, perfect for those who want to feel like explorers for a day. The park is therefore a concentrate of Utah in miniature, with narrow slot canyons, natural arches, petroglyphs, and a fauna that has learned to live in the extreme. It's the perfect place for those who want to taste the desert without getting lost in the immensity, a sort of preview of the great national parks in pocket format. Dixie National Forest. With over 1 million hectares, Dixie National Forest is a world unto itself. It extends across all of southern Utah, embracing deserts, canyons, and mountains in a single incredible ecosystem. It's like having 10 national parks in one, with each area having its own character, its secrets, its wonders. Here are found the famous hoodoos of Bryce Canyon and the ponderosa pine forests that smell of vanilla when the sun warms the bark. And then there are the plateaus where in summer you can escape from the desert heat to suddenly find yourself in an alpine climate. This forest is proof that Utah isn't just desert, but a kaleidoscope of natural environments that surprise at every step, passing in a few hours from canyon to forest, from desert to mountain. Bonneville Salt Flats. A white desert extends to the horizon like an ocean frozen in time, formed from the remains of a prehistoric lake that covered this region 13,000 years ago. The water has evaporated, leaving an expanse of compacted salt where speed reigns supreme. In fact, drivers arrive here each year, to attempt to break world records, racing with aerodynamic vehicles, and taking advantage of the perfectly flat surface. The heat, moreover, distorts the view, creating mirages that confuse perception of distance and space. During the rainy season, meanwhile, a thin layer of water transforms this land into a giant mirror, reflecting the sky and clouds. The salt flats are an example of how nature creates surreal places, a landscape in continuous transformation that challenges human imagination. Goblin Valley State Park. Here, you enter a world populated by stone creatures. Goblin Valley is a canyon full of rock formations that really look like goblins, which are sandstone elves sculpted by the wind into bizarre and unsettling shapes. Each goblin is unique. Indeed, some look like giant mushrooms, others prehistoric animals, still others mysterious faces. The beauty of this place is that you can walk freely among these stone guardians, touch them, climb on top. It's a natural playground where imagination takes flight. Actually, many visitors give names to their favorite goblins. There's the one that looks like Elvis, the one that recalls E.T., and the one that resembles the mother-in-law. Goblin Valley is the place where adults become children again, and children believe in magic. It's small, you can tour it in half a day, but it's impossible to forget. Factory Butte. This place is the mountain that shouldn't exist. Indeed, it rises alone from the desert, like an Aztec pyramid, all grooves and terraces, truly resembling a gigantic factory. It's made of layers of sedimentary rock that tell millions of years of geological history, page after page. But the real attraction are the badlands that surround it. A true lunar landscape of gray gullies and eroded hills that change shape with every storm. It's also the paradise of off-road lovers, with routes that take you to places where the only noise is the wind blowing among the rocks. And from the summit, the view spans for hundreds of kilometers over a landscape that seems to have come from another planet. Factory Butte is the place where Earth shows its most industrial and most artistic side at the same time. where nature becomes architect of itself. Kodachrome Basin State Park. The park takes its name from the famous Kodachrome film, and not by chance. Here indeed, the colors are so vivid that they seem to have come out of a vintage postcard. The rocks have every possible shade of color: pink, red, yellow, white, purple, orange. It's as if nature had decided to show its complete palette, all in one place. But the real peculiarity are the sandpipes, which are rock chimneys that rise from the ground like towers. In reality, they are ancient fossilized geysers, channels where hot water once gushed, and which have now become sandstone pillars. And then there are the trails that take you through slot canyons so narrow that you have to walk sideways, with walls that almost touch above your head. Cosmic ashtray. Imagine flying over the desert and suddenly seeing a perfectly round hole in the earth, as if someone had put out a giant cigarette. The cosmic ashtray is exactly this, a natural crater of mysterious origin that has driven geologists crazy for decades. It's certainly not a meteorite crater, nor volcanic. It's simply an erosion phenomenon that has created this perfectly circular formation in the middle of nowhere. The name was born in the 70s when pilots flying over the area began to call it this for its unmistakable shape. Today, it has become a destination for those seeking the most unusual Utah, the one not found in tourist brochures. Grand Staircase Escalante. Welcome to America's last wild place. The Grand Staircase Escalante is an immense territory, almost 2 million acres, where time has stopped at the geological era. It's called a staircase because it's formed by a series of plateaus that descend in steps toward the south, each a different color: the pink cliffs, the white cliffs, the vermilion cliffs. Here you find very narrow slot canyons, with the sun barely reaching them, only for a few minutes a day, creating incredible plays of light. There are also natural arches hidden in remote canyons, rock bridges that cross deep gorges, and petroglyphs that tell stories thousands of years old. The Grand Staircase is a place for true explorers. It's Utah in its pure state, wild and untouched like centuries ago. Aquatic Mountains. These mountains are home to America's most famous wild horses. Here herds of Mustangs live, directly descended from horses brought by Spanish conquistadors centuries ago. These magnificent animals have created their own kingdom among the rocky hills and rolling prairies, perfectly adapting to the harsh and wild environment. Seeing them gallop freely, with manes in the wind and hooves raising golden dust, is an emotion that takes you back in time, to the era of pioneers. The trails of these mountains often follow the ancient paths traced by the Mustangs themselves, leading to hidden water sources and lush prairies where the herds gather. Furthermore, with a bit of patience and respect, it's possible to spot the dominant stallion as he guides his family through the hills, keeping alive a wild tradition that persists despite the centuries. This place, therefore, represents one of the last sanctuaries where the bond between American land and these symbols of freedom continues to thrive, untainted. Potash ponds. Seen from above, the potash ponds look like an abstract painting, made of perfect geometries and impossible colors. These artificial basins, used to extract potassium from the subsoil, have involuntarily created one of Utah's most surreal spectacles. The water in each pond has a different color, and it ranges from electric blue to emerald green to lemon yellow or shocking pink, depending on the concentration of minerals and algae. It's an industrial landscape that has become artistic, where the hand of man has collaborated with nature to create something unique. Moreover, each pond perfectly reflects the colors of the sky, multiplying the chromatic effect. This is certainly the place where industry meets art and where the artificial becomes natural. Mars Desert Research Station. Welcome to the place where life on Mars is simulated. The Mars Desert Research Station is a scientific outpost in the middle of the Utah desert, where scientists simulate Martian missions. The structure, with its white dome and cylindrical modules, really looks like a space base. But what makes this place special isn't just the station, but the landscape that surrounds it. Indeed, Utah's red desert is so similar to the Martian one that NASA uses it to test rovers and train astronauts. Walking here, with red rocks on the horizon and the infinite sky above your head, it's easy to imagine being really on another planet. This place is the bridge between Earth and the stars, the place where the future of space exploration takes shape today. And it's here that science fiction dreams are transformed into scientific reality. This is Utah, a kaleidoscope of natural wonders that challenge imagination. And if you want to explore other fantastic places in America and around the world, choose from our playlist that you find here on the right.